Okay, hi everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to some of you, and welcome back to our series of webinars. And today we are having the 18th International Talk on Green Business, Sustainability, and Climate Action. And as usual, we have three prominent guest speakers who will share their knowledge and experiences on the topic. And I'm inviting now Ms. Michelle Thatcher for an opening remarks. So the floor is yours, Ms. Michelle.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone.
On green business,
So nice
sustainability.
to have you with us. Just one moment, I hear something in the background. So today, as Dr. Wissam had shared, we have three amazing speakers, one from Germany, one from Uzbekistan, one from the United States. And so if you've been with us before, you know we also have a very global audience. And so we encourage everybody to start sharing where they're from as you're coming into the LinkedIn audience. So upcoming events, we have the Global Sustainable Development Congress that is coming up. Both Dr. Wissam and I will be speaking, and you can also receive 20% with code speak guest on that particular event. You can go to Dr. Wissam's LinkedIn profile and have a special link that goes straight there as well. Today I want to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun as we have the audience joining us. And this is our global climate pledge. Our goal is to get 2 billion people to start taking climate action, since this program is all about climate action. And we have two different pledges, one for the individual, which we'll go over a little bit more today, and then one for the organization, business, and university. We have universities that have signed the pledge. This is interactive. You can do the QR code. Again, this one is specifically for the individual, but we have the other. And this provides commitments to take action. This has resources. This connects communities. We have partners within this, NGO partners, business partners, and more. And so a lot of people ask us, like, what is the point of a pledge? You know, and just making a commitment. Making that commitment, studies have proven that those who pledge act. You have an 80% more probability to sticking to that commitment if you sign that particular pledge. And for those of us who do also work with young people in the world, it helps to alleviate that climate anxiety when you do take action. So here's the code for the individual pledge. And it's super simple. You just add your name and basic information, and then you just make at least one new commitment. And it could be in the community space, the home space, transportation, and or nutrition. You could just try, you know, going vegetarian if you like. So again, this is the QR code, and it's something fun for you to do. It's something for you to engage your students at the university level, your employees at the business level, and the NGO level as well. So you can do it as an organization, business, university, and or sign as an individual. You can just go to globalclimatepledge.com. And with that, I'll hand it over to Constance. We'll just have a couple of friendly reminders as we go into this program.
Hi, everybody. Here's our friendly reminder that we encourage your participation. This is a very interactive webinar. We like to know your thought, your action, your insight, and your question. We love hearing the questions. All of our speakers are also thriving for this, and so we're looking forward to this. Our suggestions also is please share your location, your cities, and country. I am myself from France, so I will put it in the chat. And this is a space for open, inclusive, and uplifting dialogue. And all questions will be addressed during the Q&A session. And if we're not able to address all the question will be posted in the original post, I believe. I might give that back to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Constance. And many thanks to our collective team who is out there helping. Today we have Lauren Batstone who will be assisting with some of the questions as well. And I will now hand it over to Dr. Wissam with the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability. Without Dr. Wissam and this organization, we would not be here today. So many thanks to Dr. Wissam for bringing us all together.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Michelle, for these remarks, and also thanks for Ms. Constance. As usual, this webinar is being organized jointly by the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability and the Global Green Chamber of Commerce. So we'll start with our first speaker, Prof. Dr. Yorlik Geh. And Prof. Yorlik, she's a professor of environment and process engineering at the SRH University Heidelberg from Germany. So the floor is yours, Prof.
Thank you very much. So today I will talk about the topic of water, as I'm here leading a master program in water technology and link it to the topic of sustainability. But as you see on my title, also to the topic of the people, as I'm working a lot with students and other people in education. So just quickly to my background, I'm a process engineer, and I was working in chemical industry for 8 years in the R&D process development, and then I changed back to education, back to university, and there I've developed a master program called Water Technology in 2018, and since that I'm leading that master program, and next to that I'm working a lot in the topic of water conflicts. I have an initiative with several countries, mainly all over the world right now, and work in the field of sustainable water management. That's also, mainly the reason why today I talk about the topic of water in our session. So I wanted to start just with the topic of global challenges in cities. You all know about that we have a rapid urbanization in the world. We have often the urban heat island effects, a lot of effects due to climate change. And all of that can, of course, also be linked to the topic of water. For example, what does it mean for the water supply? What is about wastewater treatment? And of course, nowadays also, what can we do with AI, with digital solution, modern tools for the future of water management? So there are a lot of linkages in the frame of water to the topic of the global challenges in the city. If you talk about water, of course, you cannot talk about water alone. So there are a lot of interconnections, and mainly to the topics you see here on this slide, we have, of course, the climate, we have the topic of energy, of land, and of course also to a lot of socioeconomic dimensions. So when I talk about water, of course, you need to have the linkages to all the other factors, as well, as you cannot work just with one alone. That's why I also want to have this at the beginning, that we all, when we work on the global challenges, when we work on sustainability, it's not just one factor. We have to deal with a lot, and that is what I also want to mention here. There are different resources of water. You might all know we have a lot of surface water, which is visible, river water, lake water, sea water. We have the groundwater below the earth. You see here also that all of our pollution has an impact. Could it be coming from leachate, from landfills, or waste lagoon, from the polluted air? So that is also making visible the linkages when you talked about the topic of water quality to the topic. And in general, we have our blue planet, but most of the water is in the oceans. It's salt water, so really just a few percent is really that fresh water. And just a bit is really that what we can also directly use. When we talk about water quality, there are certain influences which we have an impact, or where we can have an impact on, as for example the industry, our agricultural land use. That is all what, let's say, our human behavior or technology is having an impact on. Then we have our drinking water treatment as well as our wastewater treatment, which we can influence. But of course, there are also other topics, as for example, mentioned here, the sediments or the hydrological conditions, which are not, let's say, have an influence by us. So a water can be highly polluted by a heavy metal, but not due to human behavior, but to, let's say, these conditions. And then, of course, we also have our climate, which have, of course, also an impact on the topic of water quality. So you see, I also direct today the topic in the direction of the topic of water quality. When we talk about sustainable water resource management, we have to have in mind that due to our increased population, we also have increased demand for food, and we have other environmental conditions due to the climate change. We have extreme weather events which are increasing. Could it be a drought? Could it be a flood events with heavy rain? So there are different aspects, and of course there's often local hotspots, and which may lead to increased concentration of pollutants, and so it has also an impact on the quality of our surface and groundwater. So in general, we all work about the topic of adaptation and mitigation, which with main short-term factors for climate resiliency. And we should, of course, also develop a future strategy to integrate scenarios to work with it, to have mainly really a relationship to the topic and see the influence of other factors to water, but also the other way around. As for example, for the topic of energy, we always need water to have energy, but we also need a lot of energy to have fresh water. For example, there you see directly the linkage. When I started the topic of water quality, one important factor is the monitoring and testing. So before we do not know about the quality, we can just, let's say, assume influences, but if you really monitor and analyze it, you really know what is the status. When we have here it as an example, mainly also to the topic of agriculture, if we have or can access the impacts on agriculture, on the ecosystem services, we can observe sources and pathways of pollutants if we analyze the water quality. And by knowing the water quality, we can have an influence. We can assess the impacts on the ecosystem, on the health of the ecosystem, on the health of the water bodies, and of course also a lot of environmental disasters can just be covered by monitoring, as nowadays a lot is analyzed in the topic of the PFAS, and the more it's analyzed, the more is discovered where it all is taking place. I just want to introduce some projects. As I mentioned, I want to talk about water and people, and here I just want to share some projects which also we are taking part with students, but also with citizens. This is a citizen science project all over Germany, where the ecological status of flowing waters are analyzed, and here it's mainly linked with the objective to determine the pesticide pollution. So that is also why it's linked to the agriculture. And here mainly very small flows are analyzed. So not the big rivers, but the small flows which are normally normally not analyze. And so this is a contribution to a big collection and evaluation of data to protect our fresh waters here in Germany. We are joining in our region with several small flows to that collection, as we just discussed about the topic of monitoring. So that is one part where we're joining to monitor that. And just here also one colleague who is in charge of that and made her PhD in that field, she showed that the citizen science monitoring has really a good data accuracy. So this with regard to that SPEAR index, which is the index for showing the pesticide pollution in the flows. And it, of course, also shows that a lot of our flows having not a good quality here with regard to the ecological status. And this is even, let's say, better than in other analysis or evaluation. So just to show here also that these citizen science stream monitoring is also showing results which are good, even that is a citizen science project. Another project which is going to be used here, but also mainly in education, and there's also coming later the link to the topic of water. It's the Urban Weather Project, which is started by even by a school in the region, which wanted to create a better understanding of the weather in urban areas, as at the beginning or also mentioned different impacts or challenges in cities as they have their own microclimate. And it's also about collecting and analyzing data. So here the link is already to education, because they have a platform for monitoring and analyzing in urban areas. And they are very simple weather data stations, which can be easily constructed or printed with 3D printers in the school and can be used for educational purposes. But all the data the schools are getting into this platform, and so all the data are linked together. It's not a high quality census in it. It's more the let's say high sum of weather stations, and with a lot of data that we have a platform for that with a lot of data. And here it's really creating a database here in our region. And these are then used for forecasting and prediction, and of course also for correlations. Here I just also put in which different formats it's used for lecturing. So when you lecture in the field of informatics, it can be used in the field of biology. So there are different purposes where we, as I'm coming from education, can also be using these kind of monitoring systems. Then coming to the point I mentioned at the beginning, the topic of artificial intelligence. Here also you can just use a good artificial intelligence or data forecasting when you have a lot of data. That's why I started with the topic of monitoring, that if you have these data, you're able to predict. And here in that field, we want to predict the local pollutant accumulation based on the weather data. So also we are having different or simple water quality sensors, which are not yet implemented that widely, but they will be, and so that we can work on the prediction and on forecasting, and in combination with that, the environmental and education. That's the next point, that you also raise awareness about the risk of the pollutants and the water protection. And then, of course, when you can predict something, you can also work on the preventive measures. So that is the project where it's working on. And with that, there are a lot of digital solution we can discuss also today for the whole topic of sustainability and green business, but also, of course, for sustainable water management, a real-time monitoring, early warning systems, and of course also to check before really having a worst case scenario as a lake with a lot of impacts due to eutrophication, leaking infrastructures, efficient irrigation, and all of these aspects are always a point where you can use digital solutions in comparison to that. Here we are. And next point is also to compare this together with arts. When we talk about what we had here about education, to start early, you see here a lot of young kids starting with the topic of sustainability in education as early as possible, to raise the awareness about environmental protection, to save energy, to have a good water quality. As, let's say, we as adults, when we teach something here, as in this scenario, of course, we also teach, but if your kids teach you to do something in a sustainable manner, often the people listen to that better, and you do not want to throw something away as a plastic bottle if your kids are telling that it's not good for the future, instead of if a professor is telling that. So that's why this educational topic I also want to share here, as this is what I see. It's quite important. I love to do that. And next step is also to combine it with arts, as sounds, as artistic designs or something like that, artworks, to get also people involved or attracted in the field of sustainable and water protection, mainly to raise awareness with another approach. This was with the river Danube, where we collected sounds, but also the water quality, and tried to find correlations. And so it's people listen more interested about curious approach instead of just the technology behind. And then finally, as we talk about that, I just want to share one easy topic to be aware of, as we just work on a lot of actions with that. It's a topic of cigarette filter, but as I often use it as very simple example, it's also coming to the kids' education, because I was having the question how the kids deal with it when we collect waste. And there are a lot of toxic stuff in it, mainly also with regard to heavy metals, of course, the nicotine, but also with the cellulose acetate, the microplastic. And there's a lot everywhere. And it's so easy to get rid of that. That is mainly the approach here. There are, of course, a lot of difficult pollutants to get rid of, or to start where the pollutant is starting. But this is just that, to throw it away, or to throw it, let's say, in a correct way away. And that is why we also started this topic, of course, also in research, but also with raising awareness about this in an easy way, because that is where everyone can work on. And that is the example from, let's say, kids to adults, where everyone can easily do something, and it really has a very bad impact to the whole topic of waste management, water quality, and then, of course, linked to that also to the topic of energy, food, and all of the other aspects I mentioned at the beginning. And then finally, as I always finish with that topic of education, that this is really, as I put here in the citation, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. My colleague from Mexico always put this when we had our lectures together, and so today I put it. I took it from her, as we educate in the people of humanitarian engineering and this is a big field also linked to the topic of green business, to not forget to educate the people. That's from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to ask anything, or I'm not sure if we do it at the end, but yeah, do not hesitate also to drop me an email or a LinkedIn message if you want to share your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your interesting sharings, and definitely we will have a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. So now we are moving to the second speaker, and the second speaker will be Ms. Malika Sharipova. And Ms. Malika, she is the founder and director of CARE CSR related in Uzbekistan. So the floor is yours, Ms. Malika.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Wassam, for the opportunity to speak in the sustainability talks and share some, views on sustainability and social responsibility in Central Asia. Sorry, I have to tell you to move the slides. Yeah, so I am, Malika Sharipova, as Dr. Wassam already mentioned. I founded my CSR and ESG consultancy back in the days where it was not important in Uzbekistan, let's say. But actually, when I started talking about it in 2015, it was not that important. But now, with the recent governmental legislation, I will be talking about this, of course. The ESG reporting has become compulsory. So now there is a movement, and I'm really happy to see that. Table of contents, we'll be talking about the context, of course, the Central Asia, and then move on to the environmental sustainability and talk about social responsibility and the importance of integration, because we're talking about Central Asia. The integration is important in achieving sustainability. And of course, the path forward, how we can see the responsible and sustainable pathway. This is the saying by the President of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, in the recent Central Asia EU summit. He said, we are facing a historical chance to make our region not only sustainable, but also prosperous. And this is very important. This is also talking about the integration of all 5 countries in Uzbekistan, in Central Asia. Sorry. Next slide. Yeah. As you may already know, in Central Asia, we have 5 countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and also Uzbekistan. This Central Asian region is very rich in natural resources like oil, gas, minerals, different kinds of minerals. But all those 5 countries yet still very vulnerable. They are vulnerable in terms of poverty and inequality, like socially. And although we have millennia of civilization wisdom, we have such a rich history, we have a growing population, and majority of the population is young and ambitious, and hopefully they will be the change agents in the future. And here we have steppes, deserts, mountains, valleys, and we have some water. And we can see that it's not only in Uzbekistan, but in all 5 countries, there is some environmental neglect and social fragility. We can see it in the disappearance of the Aral Sea. Maybe you've heard about it, the Aral disaster. We can see it in the climate-driven water scarcity, because we, like Central Asia, is highly water stressed region. We have migration labor. We have high rates of unemployment, especially among young people. And we have some gender issues as well, of course, gender disparity. But I'm not going to, talk or to tell you a tale of a despair, but I want to talk about the opportunities in the region. Yeah, let's talk about environmental sustainability, because without a livable planet, without normal climate and resources, sustainable use, there is no economy, and there is no society, and there is no future. There is no humanity, actually. um, and we already see that Central Asia is warming faster than global average. I can give you the fact by the World Bank. It says the region could experience temperature increase of up to 6 degrees by 2100. If we continue business as usual, if we continue the way how we operate currently. Of course, this would bring many problems into the region, like severe droughts, and we will see the melting of glaciers, like Tian Shan and Pamir Mountains, that provide 80% of the fresh water to the region. Water security is at risk because it's, as I said, it's most water-stressed regions in the world. And the collapse of the Aral Sea, to your understanding, it was once the 4th biggest lake in the world. And now it is called Aral Desert. And it happened it's just crazy, it happened in 60 years. In 60 years, it was humanity who's responsible to, for the drying of the Aral Sea. This is just crazy thing. And this is because of the poor policies. This is because of the human greed and irresponsible agricultural operations, of course. And still we can see, like in Uzbekistan, in Tajikistan, in Turkmenistan, over 70% of water is used for agriculture. And like downside of it is, like lots of water is wasted due to the outdated irrigation. I mean, the infrastructure is not good, so majority of most of the water is just lost on the way. And we have two types of countries. We have downstream countries, we have upstream countries, and we can see that downstream countries are very reliant on and dependent on the upstream countries in water cooperation. Uzbekistan is one of the downstream countries. And why it's important to integrate, to work together, because we need to manage the water sustainably. So the fossil fuel economy is also another challenge that we face in Central Asia. Like Central Asian, all 5 countries, they heavily rely on oil and gas and coal. So we need to move on to the more sustainable business practices in here as well. Like we can learn from the EU or other major markets that are introducing carbon border taxes. They have carbon markets, and they have carbon incentives, and etc. We need to, so Central Asian countries need to focus on developing of the green financing, developing of the renewable energy, which they're already doing, of course. But I mean, it's not enough. So we should focus more on more projects on renewable energies as well, or the green energy. And of course, it's the justice, inclusivity of all the strategies and policies. Here we can talk about rights of people with certain disabilities. Here we can talk about women's issues, and etc. Here I would move on to the next slide. Social responsibility, because social responsibility is at the heart of development. It's at the heart of solving all those not solving, but at least like having a little bit of share to solve the environmental issues that we face in Central Asia. how we can do that. First of all, it's important. I usually talk about this in many places in my lectures, that CSR should be embedded into the corporate DNA. It should be not things that you can do voluntary or you want to do, but it should be must thing to do for the companies. Like for that, of course, we should promote adopting international standards like ISO 26000, UN Global Compact. We have GRI, and we have other, of course, reporting systems that should be promoted within the countries. And I would also say it's important to incentivize ethical practices among the countries. In the countries, train management and stuff, because capacity building is also very important in understanding all those issues. And we, of course, we see the developments in CSR and ESG in Central Asian countries. Kazakhstan is leading in terms of ESG practices, implementation, and then Uzbekistan is doing really good things in terms of implementing ESG practices. And we can see it in the policy. Like, as I said, starting from last year, there was a legislation in Uzbekistan that made it compulsory for businesses to report their ESG metrics, ESG performance. And now it's like a compulsory. But it's not enough because we need to make sure that we create certain local guidelines for businesses on how to teach them or build the capacity, how they can implement all those practices, because it's really new. It's really new thing, not only for Uzbekistan, but also all other countries in Central Asia. So we need to develop national CSR strategies. We need to have certain regulations, guidelines, more information, more books, because in Uzbekistan, I don't even know if there is a book about in Uzbek language about CSR or ESG. But of course, we have certain, all countries have certain legislation on different indicators of ESG, like environmental laws, social laws, etc., etc. But we should focus on the good implementation. And integration. Integration is a new development model because it's important, as I said, being in one region, sharing the borders, it's important to work together. Unfortunately, despite of the geographical proximity and the neighboring and shared cultural ties, shared history, we have the same history. Unfortunately, intra-regional trade is not that developed in Central Asia. And as of the recent data, trade among Central Asian countries accounts for only about 10% of their total trade volume. So we can see that there is some work to do in terms of integration. Of course, we need to talk about infrastructure because it's the catalyst for the integration in order to, to make a good relationship, to good connection, and in order to be able to make it comfortable for the business or overall the trade, we need the infrastructure. Of course, investments are made. We have really good projects when it comes to the infrastructure. Maybe you've heard about Trans-Afghan Railway. It's said that a 7 billion project aiming to connect Uzbekistan with parts of Pakistan, Iran via Afghanistan. It will, of course, enhance the trade routes between Central Asia and South Asia as well. We also have China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan Railway project. It's gaining momentum because it's very promising link with Central Asia with China and with other like countries beyond. Economic integration and development is also, as I said, it's important. We can talk about energy trade. We have enhanced electricity trade among Central Asia countries. But we should improve that. And we need to work on the projects, as I said, like with water resource management, because there is currently insufficient cooperation in managing regional water resources among these all 5 countries. Of course, we would hope that in future there will be certain projects and related to water resource management. We have to actually. We don't have any other options. And also social and environmental dimensions. We have programs like Climate Adaptation Mitigation Program for our RLC Basin, and we work with Kazakhstan, with the world, with the international financial institutions on improving the situation in the RLC basin, and also helping the local people who live around that area. We, as a region, we also have to talk about the strategic partnership with the other parts of the world, like global integration, like European Union, for example. We need to be more connected or more strategic, have more strategic partnerships with the European Union, with the United States, with other developed countries, so that we have partnership in, or the financial support. We can also receive the technical support from those countries, and then of course access the broader markets, and that would facilitate the region's integration and overall the economic development. And of course, the path forward. Next slide. How do we see it? Yeah, to be able to realize the full potential of regional integration, Central Asian countries should harmonize their regulations, because we are all linked. So we need to standards in terms of trade, in terms of investment policies, in terms of to reducing the barriers and encourage overall cross-border commerce. In this sense, we can talk about not only 5 countries, but also plus Afghanistan as well. We have a saying in Uzbek, it says, if your neighbor is in peace, you are in peace. So we need to give some focus on that as well. All those 5 Central Asian countries, they should strengthen the institutions, develop regional bodies to coordinate the projects, especially on the environment. To be able to share, to manage the share of resources, and to be able to resolve some disputes. And also the important thing, as we share the common history, rich history, we have to talk about promoting cultural exchange between all those countries, because fostering people-to-people connections is important, because countries consist of people. So people-to-people relationship is also very important. We can see it in educational programs, in tourism, in cultural initiatives, to build the mutual understanding and trust. Trust is really important among all those 5 countries. And of course, we understand that by embracing the comprehensive integration model, and then Central Asia can transform the shared challenges into opportunities and collective advancement and all of that. And also, it will be good to see that governments have long-term and integrated sustainability strategies together, like unified strategies for all those 5 Central Asian countries. Of course, businesses should be involved because business play like whale share in tackling the environmental issues and social issues as well. And we have to talk about investors and donors. There is a trend, and it's getting stronger and stronger in the world. Socially responsible investors, SRIs, so-called SRIs, they only are looking into those companies who are ESG compliant, who are responsible and accountable. And we can see that very few, like in Uzbekistan, they like if we talk about very big investors, well, we don't see it. We don't see them yet in the country. Of course, civil society is important. It's civil society is the main institutions or groups of people, and here we also can talk about civil activists that hold accountable the organizations, the businesses, hold accountable to practice their responsibility. And here we talk about inclusivity, scalability of the projects, of the social projects, and of course, climate smart initiatives implemented by the companies. And of course, each of us, because society, again, consists of people. And as people, as the personal, on a personal level, we should understand our responsibilities as consumers, as citizens, as leaders, and we have to understand our responsibility, take the responsibility, and of course to spread the word of the importance of individual responsibility among our society as well. This is also our responsibility as a personal, in a personal level. Overall, if you look at this saying, it says Central Asia is not behind the sustainability race. It's on a different track, one with its own wisdom, resilience, and opportunity. If we empower the region with tools, with right kind of trust and investment, it will lead, and it can lead to the uniquely valuable transition. And this transition, we would like to see to be a green and responsible and resilient transition. Thank you, everyone. I'm out of my time, and if you have any questions, I'll be ready to answer in the end of our talk.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Malika, for again this interesting sharings with a different perspective from a different region, and this is what is about the webinar, bringing various views from various backgrounds. So now we will be moving to the next speaker, the third speaker. And the third speaker will be Mr. Mustafa Isam Misri. And Mr. Mustafa, he's an IT professional from the United States. So the floor is yours, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, Doctor. I hope I am audible. So let me start with the introduction. So myself, Mustafa Isam Misri. I've been working in the IT industry for over 12 years now. So today I'll be talking about leveraging the tool OpenText Extreme for sustainable communication and paperless operations. So little bit of introduction about what this tool is. So sustainability has become a core strategic objective for enterprise across industries, including the IT industries, and all the organizations are now increasingly seeking ways to reduce their environmental impact by using paperless edition of the outputs that are getting generated. So paper-based communication not only incur high operational cost, but also it contributes significantly to carbon emissions and deforestation. So the shift towards paperless operation supports a broader digital transformation agenda while aligning with environment, social, and governance goals. So with this tool, OpenText Extreme, a market-leading CCM tool that is the customer communication management platform, it enables the businesses to manage and optimize customer communication digitally, reducing reliance on physical documents that are being sent to the customers with the legacy systems or the uh, older process of communication. So this OpenText Extreme is designed to help businesses create, manage, and deliver highly personalized, consistent, and compliant communications across multiple channels, which will include like print, web, mobile, and email. That will also include the text messages with an alert of their statements or whatnot, or any communication that has to be communicated seamlessly. So it can also be integrated with enterprise applications like SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, where you can pull the data and diverse sources to generate dynamic context. So here is the quick architecture of how the tool is. We design it in the environment, the design environment, and then that gets passed over to the production environment. So we have multiple channels where we can create the outputs, including the email, SMS, print, fax, or the archival, we can say. So there are new features that are being involved in the tool, where you can have the uh, documents updated on real time, meaning if there is any request that comes in from the end customer, that can be taken care by the agent, and the same can be sent via email. So that will help with the paperless outputs that will be created. So the traditional communication challenges were like organizations were relying heavily on legacy paper-based communication processes that face several challenges. So just to include few, it was high printing and postage cost, time consuming, and there was also manual intervention that was required for handling the print and mail, and increased risk of document loss or errors. And then more importantly, the carbon footprint associated with the paper manufacturing, the transportation and waste disposal was substantial. So the businesses were under pressure from regulators and consumers as well, which was good. So traditional communications are also less agile, lacking in speed, the personalization required by today's digital customer first. So how we are going to achieve this paperless transformation using the Extreme is, it will replace the manual paper heavy processes with automated digital workflows that will help the uh, companies with the cost as well, and it will also help the environment. So communications are generated on demand or in batches and delivered via secured electronic channels, which will include the SMS and the emails as well. And on the websites, it will be available. So the solution supports mobile responsive templates, interactive web forms, which can be updated on the fly. The dynamic data can be imported. So the content rules, the data-driven logic, it will ensure that the document is relevant and personalized, increasing the availability and the engagement of the multi-server communications. So the benefits, the environment benefits, just to list a few, is like by digitizing customer communication, organizations will reduce their paper and ink consumption, minimizing the impact on forest and water resources. So even with these small implementations, this will help us in big time. So it will help reduce the printing leads to decreased energy usage, lower emission from logistics, and fewer wastage disposal concerns. So using Extreme, it also helps company comply with environmental standards like ISO 14001, and it will support public ESG commitments with measurable metrics. So more and more companies, like you name it, the big firms are moving towards environmental digitizing the customer communication, which will help, which is beneficial for any environment. So I'll give a practical use case. Like, for example, if there is a utility company that uses Extreme for e-billing, so they enable the Extreme tool for customers to receive bills instantly and securely via email or web portals. So they will also have the options of looking at the bills from previous, like let's say 18 months, and also they can make automatic payments and usage insights. So financial institutions leverage the platform for sending account statements, investment reports, and regulatory notices digitally, ensuring time delivery. So, Extreme for paperless policy renewal notifications, claims, correspondence, and you name it. They have it everything that can improve the speed and customer satisfaction while cutting operational overhead, including the manual efforts that was included in the older versions of these. So the for with the case studies, one major insurance firm, XYZ, when they transferred from paper to digital communications, reducing paper usage by 85% within 6 months of their revenue. So this move resulted in 20% decrease in customer service calls. So everything was available online, and a utility company digitized 90% of their billing processes, saving over like 300,000 for them, for the company itself annually in printing and mailing, lowering their carbon footprint also. Healthcare providers are also using Extreme, have provided patient communication turnarounds, ensuring faster appointments and electronic prescription notifications, which will help them to keep a track of what is going to happen, and they'll get all the alerts, and they'll be up to date on all the medications as well. Steps to implement this paperless and Extreme solution is: we begin with a communication audit to identify what we have for print heavy and manual workflow. We established clear sustainability and digital transformation goals, aligning Extreme deployment with those objectives. And then we utilize the pre-built templates that we have in the content library that matches with the requirement. And then we conduct user training and change management initiatives to ensure that adoption is smooth process across all the departments. And then any challenges that we have, of course, moving from paper statement to a paperless is not just that easy, but there are challenges which we can overcome, in which will involve like stakeholders early and highlighting the benefits and ease of transition. So data privacy regulation was also brought up as a uh, as a challenge, which has been overcome by making sure that data is secure, and the accessibility should be ensured, providing alternate format or interfaces for users with usual auditory and cognitive impairment. So what future holds with this Extreme is like artificial intelligence and machine learning will enhance this product more content relevant to by learning and interactions of preferences. And then blockchain technology is also in place that may enable tamper-proof, verifiable document delivery in sensitive industries like finance and healthcare, which has the most of the data that has sensitive information about all the consumers that are using this. So it's just not a tool for communication; it's a strategic asset for sustainable enterprise transformation. By enabling a paperless operation, Extreme will definitely help regulatory demands and enhance customer satisfaction. So the path to sustainability starts with digitalization. So Extreme is the foundation for that journey. So how are we going to secure the data? What is sensitive information that has to be secured? So there is data like for anything like intellectual property, creation of the mind, such as like any inventions or anything. We have the intellectual property example. If we can have that as the copyright and the trade secrets, any information that is personal to the customer itself will be available for the customers only, and anything will not be public unless there are there is information about any health information or any generic benefits that will be provided by any healthcare. Yeah. And then confidentiality and non-confidentiality information would be like there will be a MSA, that the master service agreement that has to be signed, and then NDA that has to be signed again. So intellectual property is classified into different categories. So it can be unauthorized deletions and then changes, anything that is made to any of the existing patents that are created. So all these will be protected using the privacy acts and also the security forms that we have. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mustafa, for this rich presentation from the technology perspective. So now I'm handing over the session to Ms. Michelle and Ms. Constance for the Q&A session.
Absolutely. Oh, perfect, Michelle. I can start with a question. Like, I was excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our amazing speakers for that presentation. And also to our audience, I just want to have a shout out to the variety of different people that we have coming into these programs. I'll start with the one that I feel like we've had the most audience members from, which is in Palestine. We also have quite a few from Morocco and Saudi Arabia, but we also have Lagos, Nigeria, Pakistan, Malaysia, Rwanda, Guinea, Nairobi, Kenya, Bangalore, India, Dharamsala, India, Malaysia, Syria, Egypt, South Africa, Ukraine, Iran, and many more. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our very global audience, which is definitely represented in the questions as well. So we'll get started with those. And the first one we'll do for Dr. Gay. We have a wonderful question from Indira, who's from Switzerland. The question is, what's your perspective on the democracy aspect? How can we filter, how can water infrastructure projects strengthen democratic participation?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. It's, let's say, if you have the democracy, of course, you have, let's say, the cooperation among the people. You can work on civil engagement in the field of water supply. If you see a transboundary, of course, it's a big topic in the field of water conflicts, and to raise the democracy in that field, to reduce water conflicts by democratic approaches, by technology, but mainly also to have enough water for all. I think that is mainly helping also the democracy in that field.
Thank you. And the next question is for Malika. Strong Truth asks, regarding sustainability, land and water use in your country, is there a strong dialogue on plastic pollution and environmental sustainable plastic trade?
Wow, that's a good question. I can only say that it's just emerging. Dialogue on plastic pollution and environmental sustainability, as I said, is just rising among the countries. And I wouldn't say that there is a strong dialogue on especially plastic pollution. It's relatively weak, but hopefully, as we grow the awareness among people, hopefully it will become a strong dialogue in the near future, hopefully. I mean, I can say from Uzbekistan, there is no proper waste management systems, unfortunately. So what kind of plastic cooperation and dialogue we can talk about, if there is not even a waste management system. Yeah. But thank you for the question. But I see here really a philosophical, interesting question for myself. Michelle, if you don't mind, I want to read it out because I thought it's really philosophical and beautiful.
Yes.
It's LinkedIn user, we don't know the name, but it says question for Malika. So if Central Asia could speak to the world about the relationship between prosperity and planetary health, drawing from both its ecological wounds and its renewable energy potential, what wisdom would it offer about the true meaning of sustainable development? I mean, again, it's a really good question. What could Central Asia say? Here, I would just point out that like if we look at the history, like long time, actually not very long time ago, but like in the near history, we can say people in Central Asia, they regarded nature and the environment not as a resource, but in some kind of a relationship, as a partner, let's say, because the traditional, when you look at the historical traditional way of people, especially with the nomadic herders, they worked with the seasons, not against the seasons. They cared about resources, they cared about water. We still have this saying in Uzbekistan and in Kazakhstan, in Kyrgyzstan, in all 5 countries, is the same tradition that you shouldn't throw the waste to water because water is sacred. But of course, somehow we lost this wisdom in the race of modernization, trying to copy the practices coming from the developed countries, especially when it comes to the plastic use. But today, like we're raising awareness. We are understanding that our role in preserving the nature, not for the planet, actually. When they say we have to save the planet, it's a bit awkward to me because I mean, we as people, we don't save the planet. We have to work to save ourselves because planet can live without people. Actually, it would be way better off without people. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. Thank you, whoever is this LinkedIn user.
Yes, I think that's also Indira. That was for a question for all too, so we could possibly come back to that in addition for other speakers, and you're welcome to answer it if there's a great insight that comes to mind. So thank you for bringing that up, Malika. And our next question will go to Mr. Mustafa Nasiri. This is from Abdalim. And he asks, is there any reliable scoring or rating ESG platform nowadays? What regulatory intensities are in the path of digitalization? Hello, Mustafa?
Yes, Michelle, I'm here.
Okay. Did you hear the question, or would you like me to read it again?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. I got it from the chat. So yeah, that's a very good question. So there are multiple platforms that we have nowadays. So like I mentioned in the presentation, so this is a CCM tool, which is leaning towards the ESG platform, and then they have this cloud native that they have introduced recently, which is a good platform for the same. And if there is any scoring, as in like there are other tools as well, Smartcom, which is one of those, that is also one of the reliable platform that they have. And then for the second part of the question, what regulatory instance are in the path of digitalization? So for digitalization, there are they have to basically migrate from the older legacy system to the new one to digitalize this, and then all the regulatory instance will be followed, and that's what we have in the digitalization form of the new platforms that they have. And even in the cloud native that they are introducing, they have pre-built templates and the platform that will support this uh, paperless communication seamlessly. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mustafa. I also want to just say how wonderful it is to have you with us, because we have had so many questions over our 18 different sessions about technology, about IT, and having you bring in this intersection and expertise with IT and sustainability has just been really eye-opening. So really appreciate having you here with us
Thank
today.
you for having me. Yeah.
And we'll jump into our next question with Dr. Gay. This question is from Strong Truth. How can strength investor engagement with banks help to decarbonize the environment?
Sorry, I do not see the question. The bank would.
Yeah, how can investor engagement, the strength of that with banks, help to decarbonize the environment?
I think it's mainly about showing the importance of it. So and then you can, let's say, go for good solutions. I don't understand the industry behind before decarbonization. So that is why it's a bit difficult. But I think if you show the benefit out of it, also the long-term approach. I think there was also the question about the seven generations ahead. I think that is also going in the direction also to show for the companies what is the benefit while doing decarbonization or while do anything else in the sustainable, to really understand the vision of it. I think that is the point here as well. And then you can go, the technologies are there, but often it's then the really the point of ROE or what is not always willing for certain companies to go for it, but to really show the impact and the must behind that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Malika?
Yeah, I would also would like to add in here.
Jump in with that.
Yeah. I think we're talking about the requirements. Again, I talked about SRIs, or social responsible investors. So if those kind of investors engage with banks, that is actually ideal situation because they would put their own requirements, how their money should be lended, like lending processes. They can put their requirements, such as the transparency of the money. I mean, the green investments, the green mortgages, green investments. Some kind of incentives to the companies who implement the green technology in their operations, like promoting green lending. And of course, after that, it would help the decarbonize overall the company or the organization or the overall operations, or even the that sector. Also, it would help to link the ESG performances of companies and organizations to access the capital, access the money. So if they're doing good in terms of ESG and responsibility, accountability, because in ESG reports you are like showing that you are accountable in front of your stakeholders. So if only if the company is accountable and like showing good ESG indicators, then they would access the capital. So this could be the ways how investor engagement with banks would help the decarbonization overall.
Thank you. Thank you, Malika. And it's so wonderful to have you with your ESG and CSR background coming into the space. And I also want to say, we've had a lot of different speakers and some from Central America, but like really having you focus in on this region and the perspective that you have in looking at the region as whole, engaging and interacting with each other has been a real eye-opener for us and our team, and I know the audience as well has really appreciated this. And our next question is for Mustafa Masiri. It's from Lauren, one of our team members. In what ways can climate initiatives contribute to national and global security, and how can this be used to encourage greater participation?
So yeah, just trying to figure out the question. So that's a good question. I'm just trying to read out the question again. That's in the chat. Michelle, sorry.
Yes. In what ways can climate initiatives contribute to national and global security, and how can this be used to encourage greater participation?
So yeah, to attract more greater participation, we should showcase how the data is secure and how we can achieve this paperless without any emissions. That will help the global environment. So giving them demo, making them aware, and showing them also how it is going to save a lot of money for the companies as well will help us showcase this to the bigger firms and the organizations. So that way, that is one of the way. And then we should also request the leaders to reflect their role in the society to the real world. So that will definitely help in expanding this to a larger audience and to larger organizations that will start using this more and more.
Thank you, Mustafa. And we'll go to a question for everyone. We'll start with you, Dr. Gay. And I want to say, Dr. Gay, it's been so interesting when you talk about water conflicts. I know that we have a program on diplomacy and the environment and bringing things together, and we're just, hopefully we can bring you back on as well to talk more about the conflicts and where all those are. I have so many questions because I know here in the United States, we have so many just interstate conflicts that are happening, and I know they're happening all over the world,
Yeah.
but we're not, it's like learning more about that. It would be fascinating as well. So the question for all, we have a couple of great ones, and I know we're running out of time here, but here's one of them, another great one from Indira. How might we cultivate the ethical awareness to think, and you mentioned this earlier, 7 generations ahead before we act, not just as individuals, but as corporations, governments, and global civilization?
Yeah, so it's difficult because it's always depending also on the humans, and let's say we all here working in the field of sustainability, and for us it's quite clear to act like that, but to convince people who really have no sense or for it's really difficult, even let's say for the next generation already. So that is really difficult to answer, because if there would be a good answer, we would go for it, right? So, but it's, let's say, the topic where I've ended to educate the people that more are also, let's say, pushing these, let's say, when you talk about companies or big areas into the direction, because if the more are standing behind that also, let's say, you're somehow forced to act in the direction. So that is something, but the easier it's always if you really do it, because you want to act like that, and about really, making visible that it's really good for the future, but also for short-term action, so that it's for the next 7 generations, but to also see maybe if it's just a small impact already for this generation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Gay. And Malika, I know you talked a lot about the educating the youth, but how do we get those larger corporations and others, since you are the ESG, CSR expert?
Yeah. Well, this is a really good question. Again, the audience is really amazing that we have today. I mean, really good questions we are receiving. So I think in order to cultivate the ethical awareness to the 7 generations ahead, we must fundamentally transform how we think, how we define the success, how we define the leadership, how we define the projects, and overall the responsibility. And I'm talking about not the personal level here. I'm talking about the corporations, about companies, about maybe the countries, maybe overall the global system even. Because it means that we need to integrate ethics and consideration of the future 7 generations in our while developing the strategies. So it's kind of intergenerational ethics. And we have to do it again, not only on the personal level, but in institutions, in education, in policy level, in governmental level, in intragovernmental level, and overall the over global strategy level as well, which is in the current environment a very hard thing to achieve. But hopefully we're moving towards that, and maybe after some time we will see that kind of strategies and policies. It's actually linked to the overall sustainable development notion, because it says sustainable development is about while creating the way we live today for current generation, we need to take into account the needs and requirements of future generations as well. So yeah, hopefully we will see some improvement in there.
Perfect, Malika, thank you. And Mr. Mustafa Maziri, are you with us? Oh, hello. We might have lost connection here. I know we are just about out of time here, so I'll just ask, just because we have so many good ones, one more from Indira Punik. How might we shift from asking, can we afford to act on climate, to can we afford to not honor our deepest responsibility to life itself? And that might be a great closing one. And Dr. Gay.
Yeah, Michelle, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure if I got it.
Yes, similar for me.
Yes. So Indira asks, how might we shift? So shifting from asking, can we afford to act on climate? Can we afford to? Because that's always the cost question. To can we afford not to honor our deepest responsibility to life itself? How can we shift that?
Well, I think it's about the same thing that I already talked about, like saving, not saving the planet, but saving the people, by saving our lives actually on this planet. Because as I said, the planet can survive without people, and can we afford not thinking? I mean, no, we cannot afford not thinking about our environmental responsibility, and overall not taking into account the environment overall. I'm not sure if I understood the question again.
No, I think that's perfect.
This is what I understood. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And Dr. Gay?
Sorry, my kid is just asking me something. So
Oh, I see we have Mustafa. We could go to Mustafa for a moment if you want to address that. Mustafa, I don't know if you heard the question.
Sorry, yeah, what was the question?
Well, how might we shift from asking, can we afford to act on climate, to can we afford to not honor our deepest responsibility to life itself?
Yeah, so what we can do is like with the use cases or with the organizations that are using this already. So we can show them how much savings it can be and how it is going to help the planet and the future for one of the users one of the comments there was there for 7 generations, like, so even a small footsteps will help this in a big time. So starting with small organizations or any seminars and webinars like this will definitely spread the word, and uh, it will definitely reach the audience and the organizations with the savings.
Thank you. Brilliant, brilliant answer. And Dr. Gay, just one final answer, and then we will start to close out our session.
to the same question.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think my colleagues already mentioned all that what you can say to that. Of course, you can, let's say, repeat stuff which we have said already. But I think that is really the importance what we have to focus mainly also in the future, so that the people are behind everything, and
Yeah.
to open it to everyone. So I think that is, let's say, always in scenarios like this, we are behind the topic of sustainability, but to approach all the others as well.
Yes, perfect. And I think it bookends our program here, where we started with even the individual global climate pledge, because it takes the individual. I know we as businesses, if we don't have the community, if we do not have our customers to push those businesses to do the right thing and to vote for informed climate candidates and initiatives, those individuals, if they aren't making that action, then those businesses might not be able to pick that up. So wonderful bookend. Thank you so much to our amazing speakers and to our audience for asking, as many people are commenting, the most informed questions and thoughtful questions, as well as each of you answering in such insightful ways. So with that, I will pass it over to Dr. Bassam, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Michelle, and the team for handling the Q&A session. And I would like to thank the speakers for their interesting sharings, interesting topics, and also the audience for their engagements. And I think this is the beauty of this platform, bringing people from diverse backgrounds for discussions. I think last webinar we had a presentation about CSR, and it was in the context of India. So today we are having that in the context of Central Asia. I think for technology, we've been discussing the topics from various angles and how it can contribute to sustainability. And again, we had the interesting sharings from Prof. Gay about water and water issues. Maybe this is from the science and engineering perspective. And also she mentioned about the conflicts, and we know about the environmental challenges in many places and countries where there is conflicts and the transboundary issues. And this is also an interesting aspects of sustainability. And I think we will continue doing that. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. We'll have another guest speakers who will be again from various backgrounds. So we'll be having and exposing their experiences. And I think this is a good opportunity to learn and also to network with the new people and establish those important linkages for building relations for collaborations. So thank you so much again for all the speakers and the audience and the team. And also we'll see you again in 2 weeks time for the next webinar, and we'll continue doing that, and we'll continue developing that in from various perspectives. Thank you so much, and have a good time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.